Testing, testing. Hi everyone, we're going to start the show and tell. For those in the Singapore office, if you would like to come to the town hall area, please do so. We have a special Carousell feature from Christine. Woo! Yeah, so I hear clapping in the far left. If you guys want to come forward, I know the business org is very excited to support her as well. So yeah, do come forward to take a look. I think this will be our first time seeing what she has built. So yeah, please make your way forward. I know you have a lot of supporters online as well. So let's, I think so. Yeah, if you guys are online on Zoom, you might want to just drop us some emojis so we can see that. Woohoo! I'll just say a few words before.
Yeah. Can I leave this here?
Yes, come forward, come forward. Okay, yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. As usual, this is our regular Thursday show and tell. This is actually part of the AI residency show and tell. But every week, we try to feature one Carousell build. Sometimes it is a Carousell feature that's being built. Sometimes it is of a different nature. And today, I'm very proud to have Christine. Christine, for those of you who are not aware, she is part of the people team. She is a recruiter from the talent acquisition team. So she's non-tech, and she has done something on the side that is personal. So it's a personal build. And I know a lot of our residents here are very excited and are looking forward to this demo as well. So yeah, they're right in the front here to watch you. Okay, so guys, please put your hands together to welcome our first demo, Christine.
Hello. Okay, let me just... I'm not very good with Zoom. Okay, I'm here because my boss is very lazy. My boss is actually lying in his bag at the back of the room. Yeah, maybe we should get him to say hello. So obviously he has delegated the task to me. So I've actually built Sunday. I'm actually not an engineer. I built this purely because I needed to solve a problem that I face as a dog owner, right? So I shipped the app, and now the app is actually in App Store, in Apple, has gone live since last Sunday. So today I'm going to tell you how I did it, the struggles that I have, and obviously I will give you guys a preview of the app. Of course, if you would like to download the app, I'll be very happy to have you guys as part of our community, right? And there we go, right? So for me, one of the key reasons why I built the app, right, was my dog at the age of 3, at the age of 4, he has already gone through like 3 eye surgeries. And the amount of medical notes that I've received from the vets, even like finding proper places that I can bring him to go, is really a true struggle, right? Every weekend I will need to go through like Instagram, to go through many links, find the most appropriate places that I can bring him, because he no longer can go out to places that is not well sheltered, because his eyes are just very sensitive to sunlight. So I need to be able to facilitate my own needs. That's why I built the app. So Sunday, the app, right, I took about 51 days to build the app, right? The amount of messages that I've exchanged with Claude, obviously my best friend now, right? And my peak time for building the app is at 9 p.m., obviously, because I have a day job to do, right? And I'm not an engineer by nature, right? So most of the stuff that I've done is through my chit chats with Claude. Of course, I have moments where I scold him, right? And days where I had to push back really, really hard on some of the features that I want. And of course, because I've built it on Flutter, right? If some of you are app builders over here, right? I will take you through my tech stack later, right? It cannot simulate on my laptop, right? So most of the time I will be on my laptop, with my phone, like deploy, test, go back to Claude and say, no, this is not working, this is not how I want. I have millions of screenshots on my laptop, telling it how I want the feature to work. And of course, like every brand decision, that comes behind it, later on you will see when you see the app, right? So what actually runs Sundays right now is the app is actually written on Flutter code, basically Dart, right? And I chose Flutter because I wanted to publish the app to Android. And Flutter is actually a product of Google, so it's actually easier for me to flip on that switch to move it to an Android build. Right, my back end is on Superbase. I think everybody should be quite familiar with that. And of course, it's powered by Gemini. I use Resend and FCM to fire notifications to my users, right? And of course, I use Post-hoc as well as Sentry to monitor bugs, where my users are spending their most time on the app, so that I know what are the features that I should improve, right? And where are the bugs that I should be fixing. And of course, the app is live on 17 May, last Sunday. So, let me maybe show you guys the app first. Can I show this screen? Okay. So this is how the app looks like for people who haven't seen it, right? On the first page, right, of the app, you will actually see an explore page. And every feature that is over here, right, are thought through based on what I think is good for pet owners when we go to a pet-friendly establishment, right? Of course, we don't want a place that is just 2 tables outside a restaurant and you're baking under the hot sun in Singapore with no shelters, the floors are dirty, your dogs are not able to lie on the floor, and it's obviously not safe, right? So these are some of the things that we score each establishment, right? And obviously these are like real ratings given by the pet community, right? We have also appointed what we call scouts as part of our KOL program to help us to seed community places, right? Places that are really pet friendly, right? And obviously there are also moderation tools that I've used behind, right? To help me to moderate the place, to ensure that the place is still open, right? The features are correct, right? And if it's not, then I can immediately take down the place, which I will show you later. So over here, it covers areas like dog run, parks, vets, right? Any forms of essential that you need, right? Even up to like staycays, right? So if today you want to bring your dog on a staycation, like you can come here and browse through it. Right? And obviously, the most exciting features that why I actually built the app is actually my pet module, right? So over here at a glance, I'm able to see what are the routines that I have with my dog on a day-to-day basis, right? I have built-in timers specifically just for me as a pet owner who has eye issues. My dog is dealing with eye issues, right? So I can even start a routine, right? And then go through, what I need to do on a day-to-day basis, right? There's a built-in timer in it that helps me to, stay on top of my dog's medical need. And of course, like the different things, like, storing his medical records, which is extremely important, right? And this has gone through the most changes, I would say, especially I've gotten like feedbacks from the vet himself, right? Because obviously I brought the app to my eye doctor, our eye doctor, and say that, hey, I'm launching this app, right? Or I want to hear your view about that. And so some of the inputs were also given by her, right? That she felt that were meaningful, that would benefit the pet community. And some of the key things that I really like it is because I no longer need to walk into a clinic with a thick file of documents. I can come in here and then I can easily look at, okay, what I need to find, what are some of the past history, right? Even down to the point, right? It fetches all the blood test records that my pet has. right, and give me a good summary over here, which is exactly the IDEX standard. Yeah, so this is powered through Gemini, right? So I have two features over here, which is called scan a document and forward an email, right? So it passes through Gemini and it gives like a summary to the pet owner, right? Instead of very technical terms. But of course, like from a trust and safety standpoint, right? There's always disclaimer, right? That's being put up front to the user, right? You need to consult your vet. Like we are only your drawer filing system. And the last feature on the app is Ask Sunday, right? Essentially, it's powered by Gemini as well. So the whole app, I layered the AI with Gemini. Cause number one, I chose Gemini because it's the cheapest, right? As compared to the rest of the tools that I've compared in terms of cost, right? And I feel that like in terms of performance-wise, it's also delivering what I need for the users that are using the app. And of course, when we look at moderation as an admin, these are my moderation queue. So when somebody actually flagged that the place is not pet friendly anymore, I can immediately do it on my phone and take down the place. This is for my convenience, right? Because I have a day job, right? If let's say during lunchtime, you know, I happen to see somebody flag it, I can immediately take down the place. And you'll bring me straight to the page, right? I can make edits, what I want to do, right? And then publish it back online. And of course, I can also see what my users are asking Sunday today, right? Okay, yeah. So yes, let's start the app. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned at the beginning you're not technical,
Yes.
right?
No.
How did you figure out what tech stack to use?
I went through a lot of brainstorming with Claude. And obviously, I think the turning point for me was when I attended a 4 hours Claude workshop as part of my work, right? And then through there, I learned, you know, some of the tech stack. And I think I was very fortunate as well. I had a tech mentor at the site. So this wasn't my first build, actually.
I see.
So my first build was on Expo, and I took it down in a week. And I rebuilt the whole thing on Flutter.
I have another question also. How long did you think, how many hours do you think you put into this project?
240 hours.
240 hours. And all of this was AI assisted coding.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick one. Did you have a Figma or any design first, or did you dive right into making the MVP?
I tried to use Figma. Honestly, I tried to use Figma, but honestly, it's really very difficult.
I have another
Right.
question, if it's okay. What would you say is like the biggest bottleneck for you in terms of like building new features now? So is it like you having, because you mentioned you're loading on your phone every time, is it like the part where you have to wait for it to build and then show on your phone? Or is it getting the AI to know what you want, like UX, you know, where are your, what's the biggest bottleneck?
My biggest bottleneck now is I'm very afraid to break things that I've already built, right? Because I don't understand the code, right? And that's why I've also built guardrails as well, like tests, QA, to ensure that I've done enough smoke tests before it's being deployed to my phone. Yeah. Monetization, yes. The app is free to download, but people are expected to pay subscription if they want to use the AI features.
I have one more question. So when you build the app, did you ask questions like, okay, am I doing the correct design patterns, or how can I improve the code? Such questions have you considered while chatting with Claude?
I think I have not done well enough. As a result, I will need to do a refactoring at some point. I have a lot of date SQL, a date database that I shouldn't be keeping them now, right? But I haven't find the time to do it. The plan is actually to do it after I push out the Android launch, which is in mid of June. Yeah, then I will start cleaning up that. Yeah, but of course, I will welcome if anybody can give me any suggestion how I can QA and test better.
Thank you.
There's a question online from Daryl. If a restaurant is not at the level of pet friendly as you like, are you recommending them on changes, or how would it go? Just having the metrics of the restaurants based on user feedback can lead to malicious data.
Obviously, if it's a known establishment, we would love to partner with them to improve, right, so that it can better serve our community. And of course, if let's say the place is really not pet friendly, it will be moderated down to take down that listing. Yeah, and of course, like if they choose to be a featured Sunday partner, right, which is on a paid service, they will need to go through an audit from us. That's the plan, right? The plan is if let's say a partner would like to work with us, we have certain criteria that you need to meet in order for us to list you as a featured partner on the app.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Last question? No? All right, well, thank you, Christine. Please give her a round of applause. Okay, thanks, Christine. Okay, next up we'll have our residents to go first. So between Ajit, Ayush, maybe one of you. Yeah. Okay, so Ajit and Ayush are returning residents. I think you may not have met them in the past weeks, but yeah, they're returning from the pilot cohort.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking a bit about deploying AI into legacy industries. So a bit of context, over the past few weeks, I've been talking to this manufacturing company in Philippines. They have about 25,000 active SKUs, 30 factories, 500 million revenue, and 6,000 employees. And just by talking to a couple of the people in that company, I've just kind of, I'm going to share a bit about my learnings about how these legacy companies actually think about AI and adoption, right? Because right now it's pretty easy for new companies to kind of adopt it internally and build solutions for individual developers or individual users. But for large companies, the story is a bit different. So, deploying AI into enterprises is not a model problem. It's a people problem. It's an ops problem. You have to deal with things like change management, how employees feel about their job getting shaken up, and accountability. Let's say if a model does not perform well, who is accountable for it? So, so a bit more context about the company. They actually have tried to digitalize their end-to-end workflows. Right now, it's purely running on Excel files, pen and paper. But they're not able to successfully digitalize. That's why I chatted with them and I proposed a solution. So what I actually proposed was, instead of like conducting one-on-one interviews, you can only do a handful of them. I proposed that let's just create voice agents that you can deploy across your entire company and run hundreds of conversations with your users or with your employees, so that you can understand how the company actually works internally versus just the senior managers. So that's one thing that I learned that, or I proposed to them. Secondly, also propose deploying agents that actually work and live in your existing knowledge, platforms like SAP, where it actually reads through how data flows across your system and filters out the biggest bottlenecks in your existing system of record. And then using that, it uses another form of agents that map your workflows into processes and figure out how these processes can be automated furthermore. And yeah, I think the general idea here is that instead of selling a tool to legacy companies, they actually do not know how to harness AI to the best of their ability. So instead of selling tools, why not sell the outcome, sell the work, or sell a form of companion and coworker who can actually do the job for you. And all you have to do as an employee, you have to approve their work and validate their work, and then use that as a way to build sort of like a closed system where it learns the more feedback you give it and becomes like an actual employee in your company versus just a generic assistant. So yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? Okay.
What was the biggest resistance you felt these legacy companies had towards AI?
Yeah, so since it was a 6,000 employee company, and the company actually values not firing people and helping them improve and learn new skills. So I think the biggest thing is to kind of make them assure to them that their work is not going to get completely ripped apart. Their systems are not so there's 30 different factories, right? And each of them have different ways of different templates for storing information, right? So we're not telling them, oh, you have to use this other system. Let's build a layer on top of it. So if to get more technical, you can actually use CLI of Excel and all these existing tools out there, and then use agents as a layer on top of it that maps it into a unified structure. So let's say you have a field called first underscore name. Another factory is just full name, right? So instead of asking them to unify their own internal SOPs, we have a layer, an agent that maps factory A's first name into kind of a unified model, so that you're not actually disrupting anything, you're actually building a layer on top of it, like a glass pane over your business.
Two follow-up questions. So did you build this layer yourself, or was it orchestrated by an agent? First question. Second, what model are you using, that's smart enough to do this?
Okay, so do you build, sorry, the first question
First question was, did you go through, the different data, like how they're managing data across the company, and then write these agents yourself? Or did you just have an agent build out this functionality?
Yeah.
That's
so
the first question.
You would have an agent that diagnoses the entire
So one
operations.
that explores the structure of how the data is.
So you can kind of look at it as what consulting companies do. They rip into your systems and your operations.
Of course, you have an agent.
And then flag it out. And then you have a list of 10 bottlenecks or 10 priorities, and then you use another agent to actually do the job.
For the model, yeah.
And then model, it depends on every use case. If it's more of a long-running task, I don't know, reading through 100-page document, flagging out things, then you would use a reasoning model. You'd use GPT 5.5. If it's a simple text classification model, you can use a smaller, simpler model.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ayush. If anyone's wondering who this is Leonard. Leonard's one of our guest demos today, so stay tuned. We will get to him shortly. Okay, Ajit is up next.
Hey guys. Right, one of the things that I wanted to do is to figure out how to give demos, so a bit meta. So I thought, okay, let me use this opportunity to try to do a live demo. So this is my first one, so go easy on me. I'm a founder of a robotics company. We're about to fundraise very soon, and so I have to make a lot of slide decks. So I was trying to see what's out there to make this easy, and obviously, I really prefer text as a way to compile my ideas, right? Like a note-taking app. I'm sure all of us do, right? But obviously, sending a block of text to somebody is not the best experience for them to digest that, and you want to send it as a form of slides. So I still wanted to keep that like where it's my text, but then keep the design intent pretty uniform and clean. And so that was my requirement. So I was exploring different frameworks out there, and I figured, okay, maybe there's somebody who's built something. I'm sure that somebody else has the same problem. And so I went and found there was a open source project out there. Let me just try to share my screen. Sorry. All right. So there was an open source project called Open Slide. All right. So they call this like the slide framework built for agents. And you can just get your whichever platform that you use, right? Like so, either your Gemini or I'm using Anti-Gravity, which is from Google, to kind of just call this framework and then start creating slides for you. And so I was just playing around for the past couple of days on how to do this, and that's what I'm gonna just show you what to do. So first things first, I was thinking, okay, maybe when I was walking in, I realized that that I could just maybe make a theme on Carousell, right? So yeah, I just took the photos. Let me see if it's here. All right, it's there. So let's see. I'm just gonna. So I've set it up already, but it's fairly easy. It can set itself up. Please don't like this is just like unnecessary tech garbage. So let's say I want to just create a slide, right? So let's say create theme. So create theme using images, and let's put in. Ooh, ooh. Oh, sorry. It's a. Let me see. I think I can. Hey, you see? That's what breaks when you give live demos. All right. So I'm just gonna take one of these images. Work. All right, so this is a picture of that corridor that you guys have, right? So let's see. I'm not sure using this image. Okay. All right. So this morning, I was trialing this. I was coming in the MRT, and then there was like the elevator had this transit LEDs, those dot LEDs. So I took a picture of that and trialed with that, and made a pretty nice theme from it. So I thought it would work. All right, 2 minutes, guys. Has anyone tried cloud design here? Yeah? All right, cool. Is that a good experience overall making slides? No? Oh, okay. Maybe then I'll convert you to open slides today then. My use case is actually, so the reason I'm using anti-gravity, so I use Notebook LM to just put my notes in. And so I've like used that as a notebook to put my thoughts that I've written down, like handwritten, not vibe-written, so that then it can use my language, my tone to generate like the outline for these. And then I can pull it directly in anti-gravity and then use this slide framework to publish the slides. All right. I think it's done. All right, and it calls it electric arch. That's the theme that it's given the name. All right, so let's see, create.
Ajit, maybe one more minute.
All right, create slides using electric arch for about 3 slides. All right. I think that should work. All right, it's done. But where is it? That's my company. Let's see. All right, where's that? Is that here? Okay, that's the arch. Well, it's not very fun. Okay, uh, that's not very nice. Okay, I'm gonna show you what happened this morning from the single picture of the um, of the LED screen, right? So you can see that it kind of even captured like the texture of the LED screen. And that was just from a single picture, right? And I think it over-indexed on obviously agents being, I mean, LLMs being LLMs, it over-indexed on that. But the cool thing about this is that like, instead of, if you want to make any changes, you don't have to reuse tokens and reprompt, right? Like you can just like click directly here. You just, yeah, and then I can just type whatever else I want, right? Directly. Or if I want to make changes on a specific slide, like I wanted to redo the entire slide, I can also just like add a comment over here that, and then it'll just rerun the LLM just for that one so that it really optimizes token usage. Yeah, so yeah, that's about it. So it's called Open Slide and give it a spin.
Okay, thank you, Ajit. Any question for Ajit? No? Oh, Wilson has one.
Hey, so just checking for the slides, it's optimized more for presentations right now, right? Yeah, because I feel like it's like it would be super useful for, let's say, like social media, like a post design as well. Because like, yeah, so I mean, maybe that's just like a small like layout change, right? Just like, and then, oh, yeah. Okay, sick, sick. We'll try it out.
Okay, thank you, Ajith. Husan, do you want to go next?
Daryl had a question. Can it make images? It can, but what I do is I just prompt it to leave a placeholder for the images so that I can put my own images, because otherwise, yeah, it really makes like AI slop images, right? So yeah.
Thank you. Husan.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Wilson. Just to share, so I spent actually the entire of the first cohort building out like a journaling app with two other people, and just this week I've left that basically. So sort of resetting my progress now. But I guess my initial thoughts or my feelings now is that obviously the build, as we all know, the building part is sort of the easy part now, right? With all these AI tools. So in reality, it's like, can we really push the marketing side and actually gain users? So for example, this is one tool that I saw. I think it's a Singapore company actually. It's like an AI CMO. All you need to do is put in your URL of your landing page, and it iterates a bunch of like tips for, let's say, Reddit, XAI, LinkedIn posts, UGC content, etc., for you to try and create. And obviously, it's just up to you to really spam and create as much as possible. So in terms of what I've been working on in the past few, since last week, so not the best traction for my sleeping app. I guess we're at 2 subscriptions right now, which is 2%. I guess it's on 60 downloads, so 4%-ish conversion rate. So obviously it's just up to actually, let's say, using all the strategies from, let's say, UGC marketing or creating short-form content slideshows and actually just boosting it out. So I'll experiment more on that to share. But in the meantime, I guess something personal that I found was quite meaningful over the past weekend. Sorry, just let me pull it out. Oh, yeah. So it was this case with Nadeem, who's like the Gojek CEO, right? So I'll just play a clip real quick. It's not too loud, but basically, obviously, he's speaking Indonesian the whole time. And so my family's Indonesian, but I guess I realized I could only understand like 50% of what he was talking about. And it made me a little bit sad. So vibe coded kind of this, oh, it's dead now, weird. But it's basically sort of this, okay, wait, let me try and pull it up here. It's kind of like this tool, I don't think it was working here, but basically, essentially putting in from content URL, so an Instagram Reel or TikTok or YouTube Shorts, and it'll basically sort of download the video, transcribe it, and then sort of quiz you based on the content of the video. And then I integrated this into my own. This still kind of on a back burner now, but basically it's just like a flashcards app for myself. And then basically based on all the short form content you watch, you get quiz, and then I can actually really test to see like, do I understand what he's talking about in the video? And then obviously put those keywords into a long form memory. And I think at least for me, I mean, sadly, like a lot of the content I consume is short form nowadays, right? So at least to try and be able to understand that for me, I think that is something that is kind of meaningful. So that's why I've been also building this personal app on the side. But yeah, that's basically it for me this week. Sorry.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah, Sulin.
At the beginning, you said you found
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
third-party app that allows you to create all
So
manner of content. Yeah, what was the name of it?
I think it's Okra, or let me just, sorry, I don't know why it's yeah, Okara. So let's see. Yeah, obviously, all of this is good guidance and it's good sort of first level information, but until like you actually execute, you actually like spam all the posts and you actually like iterate on what posts do well and what get no views. It's just like it's still just signal or it's still just noise. I mean, sorry, but yeah.
It creates the content
No,
and then
no,
it gives you a dashboard to
so sorry.
observe.
So it only like at least from what I've seen, like I mean I haven't tried the full the fully paid one, right? I just put it in just to try all these different tools for marketing, but it sort of just gives you a sort of overview on all, like for example, specific subreddits you can try to post into, and then types of content like that you can post based on like like in this niche what are other type of content that seem to do well, but it doesn't create it for you until maybe you have to pay the premium.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Wilson. All right, next up, Mabel.
Right, hi. So this is week 2, and then today I will be sharing a bit more of my progress from how I'm looking at the use of AI within Maibo to scoping my AI agents. And I think the greatest improvement that I have seen the past week is that I have managed to clarify how my operating system should look like on the back end. So just a brief kind of like recap. I think I see some new faces and I wanted to share briefly, like I think I mentioned this previously. So I'm actually building a wellness companion for women, and it's meant to encourage women to form healthier habits. And he checks in first, he remembers context, and he guides one next step. And this is the current team build that I have. And today I would like to kind of like bring our attention more to the two agent assistants I have actually been exploring. And I think I clarified their role a lot better this week. And Dobby is actually my OpenClaw agent, and Herbie is built on Hermes. So last week I mentioned them both, but actually Herbie's first day was, I think, the day before last week. So I'm just going to share a bit more about like the current workflow. I'll give you an example, and then how it actually optimized like my ops, like helped my day-to-day workflows like become a lot more seamless. So this is one of the workflows that I have on a daily basis. This is actually what I have to do in the morning. First thing in the morning, I actually have to do user monitoring. I can't actually outsource this to agents because this requires actually human intuition that cannot be easily encoded. I've tested it out to try and make this a non-manual task, but I'll give you an example, okay? So if you look at this, and all my chats are actually anonymized, but if you look at this, the user actually asked, oh, how was your day? So quite a lot of users do ask my companion how their day was. And what the companion said was, no worries, we can chat about whatever. So this is actually, if you see in silos, it makes sense, right? But then if you look at the conversational like flow, it makes zero sense. Like I'm asking you how's the day, and then you say, no worries, I'll be here. So the user got confused too. She was like, I was asking you what you were up to while I was away. And this is very interesting. This is a user that left for 1 week and came back a week later. So can you imagine I'm watching this like, wow, I thought she churned, but she came back. She was a power user. And then my companion just let me down. So I was like, oh no, this is like a bug. It's definitely a bug. And the interesting thing about behavioral logic for emotional companions is that our bugs are not because something broke in the back end. It's not that my pipeline failed, you know? Sometimes it's that the companion replies in a way that is actually out of the norm. So what I used to have to do is manual debugging. So basically, I'm a tab switching detective. I will open up like Telegram, then I have to go to Cloud Run, and I have to source through the timing. And then there are like hundreds of logs you have to look through. You have to find the right timing. And then you have to go to Linear to check if any issues have been raised before, if this is a recurring bug. And then I have to go to GitHub, like link my current chats to ensure that I'm extracting the code-based truth, right? Because it's different from runtime truth, and production and staging is different. And then you have to go to Supabase to actually identify like the main issue from that one user. Has it been repeated across users at that time frame? Then I go to my ChatGPT for the strategy brain, and then I ask Codex for a fix, which is my go-to. And interestingly, like This is actually my favorite, and I think a few of us actually agree that the coding agent is pretty solid. But anyway, this is the whole flow, and this means that I have to switch like so many tabs at once because I found one bug, and this actually takes quite a long time. And what I really wanted was to have an ops analyst to sort of help me work on this process. So what happens is that I actually linked Dobby up. Why did I choose this picture? Anybody wants to make a guess? It's not my pet. I wish I had a pet, but I chose Dobby as this cute picture because they are so frustrating that if you do not realize that some of the issues are because you haven't scoped it well, you will end up being frustrated by the use of agentic tools, you know? So, oh my God, I'm only halfway through. I'll try and like kind of speed up. But so what I do is like I will ping Dobby, and then Dobby will always make a funny joke. I don't know why he likes to say pong, you know, like ping pong. So I'll say ping, and then he'll say pong. He's just really quirky. And what he'll do is I will give him the logs. I will give him a very specific scope of where he has to go. And he will, in 1 minute, tell me, okay, let me look at this. And he'll say, okay, I found a timestamp. I found it. The root cause is clear. So Dobby will gather the evidence. He'll give me an analysis. But doesn't mean I absolutely will take it to like as truth, right? So what I'll do is then I will go and I will compare it to my strategy brain. I'll have like a sort of back and forth. Then I'll patch it with Codex and I'll validate. But the whole point is like, that Dobby gathers receipts, raises blind spots, and I, as a human, make the judgment call. And the interesting thing is, while Dobby's investigating, I get to open up parallel tabs. So I set my other agent to task, which is Herbie, my Hermes agent, and she's working on growth research, and I give her more autonomy to just like freestyle. So then when I usually have so many screens because I'm looking at one coding task and I'm looking at one marketing task, and I like to split my brain between like practical and like kind of like ideating so that I don't cross lanes when I have so many tabs open. But that's just my working style, and it helps that I have ADHD. And then I realized that the next bottleneck is actually if I don't give a context that is consistent across my humans and my agent assistants, then it's going to be a problem in the long run. So what I have been exploring the past week is also creating my company brain, which is just a series of markdown files. Why is it markdown? Because agents and humans can both like understand directly from it, right? So this is something that I've been currently working on, and it's very time consuming. It's basically operating, like encoding everything that is intuitive in your workflows and your processes. So that's something that is still a work in progress. So what has shipped the last week? Previously, I saw kind of like AI tools as like disparate, like they're all separate. I use coding agents, I use like different across all my entire stack. But now I see it more as like scoping agents as very specific assistance, and instead of manual tracking all steps, I rope them in when necessary, and it also helps me to expand on the abilities that I have as one single solo founder. Like I can split between 2 different tasks because I scope it for them and I check on them when necessary. And instead of having context in my head, I found the importance of having a central source of truth, which is what I've been building for this week. So just to wrap this up, AI first doesn't mean human less. First, you have to scope your agents, you have to give it context, you have to limit permissions. It doesn't mean that it has access to my logs. It can actually edit it. I actually just want it to read it. So that's permissioning. Allow listing is very important. I ask for receipts. So Dobby likes to say, I have done it, but he has never done it. Sometimes he just hallucinates, and you need to ask him for a commit hash from GitHub, which is one thing that I realized I had to reiterate. So you have to be the one who actually looks through the agent's work, and that's something that I realized was a responsibility I had to take up. And the reason why I put this graph here is because when I first had my first agent, which was Dobby, I was using him for everything, and I spent like 1,000 in like 10 days on credits because I just let him do everything. He was running my entire company. I was like, wow, I don't need to do anything. And I was like, okay, Mabel, you did not scope it well. I didn't set permissions. It was just, when you ask one question, it will just freestyle and like dig through all the logs and then just burn all your tokens. So you have to scope it clearly. And now it's much more stabilized, thankfully. I managed to keep it at a low for the past few weeks. So definitely keep human in the loop. And I think that's the largest lesson that I've learned the past week. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mabel? Sham?
Hey, so how do you make sure this kind of hallucinations are not hitting the production? How can you really catch it even before reaching the production?
Okay, this is a great question. So one thing to note is that when I talk about my current like team formation, Herbie and Dobby are actually experiments for my agentic ops. They don't touch production code. Yeah, and you rightfully raised the point. These are more autonomous agents, right? They have the ability to be proactive versus more reactive ones like your coding agents. So I don't give it access to my production, but what it does is like a separate lane for my internal ops. Yeah, so my entire agent, my multi-agent architecture is actually built on LangGraph for my companion. But for my internal tooling, it is just a separate lane, these two. Yeah, and they don't have write permissions. Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yep, Matthew. Press and hold.
Okay, hello. I was here last week also.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm just wondering, my question, right, is mainly about the overall concept of the app. So coming from like a kind of ethical perspective, right? Because it seems to me that this app is meant to keep women accountable, right? To foster good habits. Because it also has like different personas that can give them validation or like as such. And I find that it kind of makes them emotionally attached to it a bit, right? So that they become accountable to it. And so I'm wondering if it's a concern if humans get emotionally attached to AI, because nowadays you see people start to date robots, right? For example, and some of them even don't even go out to meet people already. So if this concept of yours seems to be kind of mirroring that a bit. So do you think there's a concern?
I think that's a great question. I think the number one problem that one thing that I was grappling with was really the concern of the safety of my users, which is why when I first started building on this, one key thing that I wanted to architect was the behavioral priority cascade. I think I briefly mentioned this, right? We actually vet to see if they're in the right state of mind, if they're emotionally distressed before we even start the narrative component or even the coaching. So once they hit those areas, we actually refer them to a professional because it's a wellness companion. That's the first step. Secondly, on the back end, my companion is not meant for endless chit chat. So we set not just on the prompt level, we set specific guardrails to ensure that the user is not meant to continuously have conversations and then float into space and say, let's escape together and get married, which is what a lot of the companion apps have, because their metrics for success is actually engagement. But for me, it's for wellness outcomes. And I think you also raised a good point about whether or not the attachment has a good positive outcome, right? But what we have seen through the users from the small batch of testers I've already rolled it out with is that some of the users feel very accountable to him, which then actually leads them to adopt healthier habits. Like I've seen users who end up clocking steps because they just want to show him hey, I did this, because he told them if you clock more steps, this would be great. I'll be able to share with you this aspect of a story that they want to hear. So these are some of the ways in which I'm actually using the attachment to motivate them for healthier habits. So the outcome has to be healthier habits, but you have raised a good point. And actually, this is a limitation of existing models. The models itself most of the frontier models are trained for assistance. They're not really trained for emotional companionship yet. And I think over the weekend at the AI Engineer Conference, there was only one emotional companionship model talk. And she was saying she was still researching it. So it's very new. So this entire field is really new. And I think actually next week I might talk a bit more about the evaluation side to evaluate the output to see if it's safe or not. And I think that will be answering a lot of your questions as well. Because a lot of times we focus on building the tools really quickly, but we don't do evaluations. And evals are an essential part in today's context, especially when we're running agents across so many different aspects of our work. So evals, yeah, that will actually also, I can show you the evals kind of harness that we have built to ensure that we capture all the edge cases and issues that might lead to unhealthy attachment with the companion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to our last demo. Thank you, Mabel.
Thank you.
So our last demo is from Leonard. Leonard is new. He's a guest for today.
Hi everyone. Let me try to get it set up. Okay. So just a quick introduction about me. I'm Leonard. I basically started a company in Singapore and sold it, and now I'm working mostly on AI at my acquirers company. So I built a couple of things, but a lot of it is around dev tooling, and it comes from me spotting gaps in what I think are easily fixable things. For example, things like, right now if you use a code editor, AI code editor is reading all your files, so you should probably protect it somehow. So I use TouchFS, which is a touch IAP gate around sensitive files. But today I'm here to share about Matron AI. And before I start, I think it kind of makes sense to give you just context about why I started working on this. So Matron AI is a side project, and it's mostly an experiment. And it comes from this general idea, which is that most of us today are using AI coding agents, just pushing it, right? Use Claude Code, and then you suggest something that it wants to build. It builds it for you, and then you read the code, you look at the app, and it isn't quite what you want. And then you tell it, so this loop, right, where you just keep commenting and then it builds something. And that's where a lot of us are, right, today. Even if you're not a software engineer, if you're just a non-technical person, you also use it this way. But if you take this another step further, right, the next thing you're going to do is split up your app into multiple parts so that multiple agents can work on it, right? So it can be more efficient, right? You can get more things done at the same time instead of waiting for the AI to be done. And once you take that to its natural conclusion, right, you spread all your attention around like 5 to 7 agents. That's what people are saying they can manage. You realize they need something like a coordinator, right? Maybe some kind of super agent orchestrator that just manages all the agents, assigns them tasks, and a bunch of different ways that people are doing it. Like paperclip is one, people are using sub-agents also. But today I want to talk about what I have tried to deep dive into, like a rabbit hole I've been digging into, which is that I think the solution to this is actually to run an AI agent company. And that's what Matron AI is. And right now we are at this point where our attention is maxed out. We are the bottleneck when dealing with AI coding agents. And I don't know what's the next step, but I do know what's one of the future steps, right? What the future can look like. I would love to tell an AI, like it could be AI or grow AI, that I have an idea, implement it for me. Or as a business owner, I want to just say, expand into Asia, and it takes care of that for me, right? Or for marketing, optimize our ROI, right? So vague goals, ongoing goals, not write this function and make this happen. And today's AIs are already really good at getting explicit things done. If you can describe it, pretty much it can build it. And I think what's left is to manage this complexity and vagueness, right, for AI. Companies already solve this problem, right? So if you think about it, if you're a CEO and you tell like the regional lead, expand to Asia, he's going to take care of the problem. Not quite sure how, and the CEO also doesn't know quite knows how, but the regional head will figure it out, hire a team, go look at our people who've done it before, and just have a plan, right? And that's also what we want from AI agents. So I started Matron as, who here has used OpenClaw before? Just a quick show of hands. A couple of people. Who's heard of OpenClaw? Okay, great. So OpenClaw is basically a fully autonomous agent, and it runs in one of your chat apps. And I started with just a single OpenClaw instance. I use a clone of it called NanoClaw, which is a bit simpler, but it's something like OpenClaw, and it runs in Telegram, and I call it Matron HR. And this was the very first hire at Matron. And from there, Matron HR is able to provision new OpenClaws on the same machine, effectively creating an entire list of employees. And to give you an example of how this works, there's an internal file system where they can email each other. There is someone whose job is to review everyone's output, right, and score them on their coherence, as well as like whether they are adhering to company policies, right? And this is done throughout the week, and they get like updates on them, reviews, so that they themselves can improve their behavior. There's like a stats page, right? There's a stats page where we can track what's the token usage for each agent, what models they're on, things like that. None of these are built by me. The only thing I do nowadays is talk to Telegram. To give you an example of how far you can take this idea, just with today's models, this whole thing was written by AI, right? And the process for it started with me going to labs and saying, here's my quick script, right? I wrote a quick script on my computer, make a page for me. He then made this page, and then I looked at the page and I was like, I don't think it's good enough. How about I dig around Matron AI's main pages and explore the sitemap? Ask other employees, right, to get more info and flesh out a page. It then got an email. It sent an email to Matron Strategy, which I talked to a lot about company strategy. And then Matron Strategy sent an email back with changes that you would do. From there, I updated the page. And then, it was taking a long time. So I said, can you speed it up? I really need to wrap this up, right? So we just did it. It got other people to review it. And from there, updated comments. And I think this is potentially the future of work, right? A lot of us think of AI agents as things that we need to talk to and push. But maybe in the future, we can all be doing more high-level abstraction thinking. You can just think of things like, I would love to improve my health. Figure it out, right? And the AI can do it for you. So that's basically what Matron is. I can go a bit more into the details, but at this point, I'd love to talk to people who are working on agents, especially if you're doing multi-agent coordination, as well as take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonard. Okay, questions? Any questions for Leonard?
Yes, go ahead.
Like how do you guys like embrace open clause so openly, right? Because like for me, like I mean I use AI a lot. I use AI to build my stuff, right? And that's the only tool that I have not touched. And of course, like due to security reasons, right? And because my app is now live.
Good question. So this whole thing runs on like a server, a remote server, so it doesn't access to my computer. On each of the agents, they don't have sudo access. Only HR has sudo access. In order for any of the agents to get sudo access, they need to get sudo permission from HR. Send an email to ask HR to do the task for them. And HR has very strict rules on how to provision and use sudo. So that's kind of how I'm managing it. Each of these agents are different Unix users, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel for like permissions. Unix users already do this job well on Linux. So basically, I'm giving scope permissions on a remote server, and the whole server has a rolling backup. So every 24 hours is backup. Anything goes catastrophically wrong, I can restore yesterday's version.
Any other questions for Leonard? Yep.
Go ahead.
Hi, thanks for sharing. I mean, I think like I actually invited him because he was exploring, like he was showing me how he just, it was so mind blowing for me when when I saw the presentation. Can you tell me a bit about, like maybe tell us a bit about like why you decided to kind of have them built on this website? Like why do you choose this documentation like decision, and also maybe a bit more on the file, on the email on the back end where they email one another? Like maybe you could explain a bit of your rationale on that.
Right, so why as a website? I think because mostly coding agents are really good at building websites. In fact, if you look at cloud design, under the hood is actually using like a lot of the tools that you already know, like HTML and CSS, to generate the sites for you. So I think they're just really good at that. But to answer your question, actually I didn't choose this. I just told my AI agents, like, I think we need, like a link tree. Can you figure it out? And they built this for me. And then I said, it needed search. Then it did it for me. At some point, I told it, can you just improve your site? I'm not sure how, but just improve it. And it made me these tags. And there are different labs agents. Labs are basically employees that just do R&D and create pages, based on what they find. For example, just now, one of the presenters was talking about open slides. I was like, go make a page for me about open slides. It doesn't work, but it tries to do its best. So basically, the layout is chosen by the AI agents. And about the inbox, if you guys have tried to do multi-agent coordination before, one problem you face is that if you put all the agents in one chat, every single agent that pings in the chat will basically notify all our agents, which means that n agents are notified, which is a waste of context and tokens. So you don't want that. But also, if you're agent-to-agent chat, you get n-squared problem because there are n times n number of agent chats. So the solution to that is to have something like an inbox system where you send a file, where agents can send a file to an agent. That message gets sent in its main chat, which is the one you have with it. And this way, you kind of flatten that into an ON problem. Next question.
Yeah, I had a question. So yeah, I've actually done this before, like getting my OpenCloud to run pretty much everything. I think it's pretty addictive. It's like a game kind of sorts.
Yes.
I was wondering, because I know recently OpenAI Codex released like /goals. If you've of it. So you can just like define a very rough and vague goal for it to do and just like runs it for hours. So I mean, I'm seeing a lot of different patterns for like running companies, autonomous companies even. So yeah, how do you, like, have you tried goals? So how do you see it comparing to the system? And second question is, do you plan to like monetize this and how do you plan to do it?
Okay, I'll answer the goals one because it's easier. the goals one, yes, I looked into it. I also dug into open source implement. Cloud Code is not open source. They leaked their source code, but the latest ones are not open source. But I looked into how other people implemented goals. It's basically just a permanent system prompt at the beginning of the agent chat, right? So it's not too complicated to implement. I already have this via like memory. So I don't know how important goals is as a new feature, but if it picks up more traction, people build interesting things around it, or it's shown to really drive the agent to be more proactive, I'll definitely implement it myself, assuming Nanobot doesn't have it. The second question is, okay, maybe also to address part of it, how do I pick what to do, right? How to expand on the features of agents? I actually don't do it myself. So I have another agent. I have an agent that's tracking all of the agent's logs, and it does a rotational review. And based on my comments, it actually picks out what the problems with the agents and surfaces it to me. So from there, I know what are measurable things I should improve instead of just picking the new shiny feature, implementing it, and cluttering the code base. As for monetization, I don't think it's monetizable in its current form, but my vision for how people are going to do this in the future is I think everyone will be like agent backed. You know, you'll go around your day and there'll be a whole bunch of agents doing things for you proactively in the background. And because of this, right, a lot of the agentic features that you want will not be the same, right? And I don't think it's possible for you to same. For example, you probably don't want my setup because my setup, for example, is I want it to be extremely minimal. And it should, you know, act like a real employee, which is maybe what people don't want, right? So people are going to need something like a starter seed, like maybe just an initial HR agent that grows with you. And based on what you want, eventually spin out like all the different roles. And that's also how companies grow. Because I founded a startup, and companies don't start with a bunch of different departments. They start with just a couple of people doing things. And as you scope out work, you hire a new person for it. And that's also how this current Matron AI system organically grew into what it is today.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone. Yep. Yep, all right, so we've come to the end of this week's show and tell demos. I hope you had fun listening to some of our current residents, guests, as well as our special feature from Christine. All right, thanks everybody. See you all again next week.